Education reform. How do you solve it? How do you fix the problem with education? How do you take our current education system and make it functional? Because it's not. I have 4 main points here for you. So, 1, okay, I don't care if you vote left, if you vote right. I don't care if you're pro Trump or against Trump, okay? I'm not making a fucking political statement. This is one of the few things that I actually disagree with Trump on, and I wish he would have saw it from my perspective, and I think that it would have actually been beneficial, all right? Is getting away from a federal regulation on education. I think we need a federal regulatory board. Here's why, okay? I'm not going to talk about student loan forgiveness. If you like it, oh well. Okay. That's not what we're here for. Okay. So, as I progress, you'll understand why you need a regulatory board at the federal level and not at the state level to make this make sense. Otherwise, it won't make sense. And you're just going to be left with a really hard to enforce set of rules. Okay. So, 1, not for profit. There is no reason that we should have an education system where people are profiting off of it. I also believe that there should be set wage caps because as you move closer to the top, you have people that make more and more and more money. And it is insane the amount of money that a lot of these people make that are supposed to be leading the schools and making changes that are positive for the students and making positive changes for the general public to entice them to come over, right? So, 1, by making it not for profit, you are going to make it to where you, 1, are going to be able to control the prices of tuition more easily, right? And 2, you are not incentivized anymore to provide arbitrary classes, okay? If you want to be a civil engineer, why do you need to take a social studies class? How does that help you build a bridge? Answer, it does not. So, Gen Ed, that's moving right into my next point. Gen Ed needs to be dismantled. I understand that you need to have a certain level of proficiency when it comes to English to be able to communicate and math so you're not too stupid to be able to do very generic whatever task you need to do on your job, right? So, Gen Ed, right, I understand the purpose, kind of. So, that's good that you need to have a certain level of proficiency. However, if it is not mandated for the career that you're applying to, you should not have to take it. Public speaking is not going to help you do a job in engineering. Um, social studies, not going to help you. Gender studies, not going to help you. These are all stupid. How does psychology help me build a giant skyscraper? It doesn't. So it's pointless, right? So if you want to really look at the purpose of Gen Ed, let's look at the purpose of Gen Ed. So the whole point of Gen Ed actually goes back to back in the day, right? You used to have a use for a generalist, right? We didn't have a as firm of a grasp on the individual sciences as we do today. So, being a generalist, having a general knowledge was more advantageous because you would be able to incorporate more things. The purpose of a generalist is gone today. If you think that you are going to discover something that is so universal, so ubiquitous, that doesn't require any kind of deep understanding of one specific field, you are very wrong. Those have been made already. We have a need for specialists. We don't have the need for generalists anymore. And that was a massive part of having a degree that required you to have a general education. It made you more well rounded. We don't need that anymore, right? So instead, it should be hyper specific to your industry. If you are administering chemotherapy, do you really need anything beyond fractions and stats? No. How about, let's say you are doing, again, engineering. Will stats, will that be sufficient for your career? Absolutely not. So we need to tailor these curriculum. That's going to help lower the cost again. So by not being for profit and by reducing unnecessary arbitrary classes, we are lowering the barrier of entry because most people don't have the luxury of going to college. It is something that a lot of people wish they would be able to afford, but they can't because they have to work. They have a family to support, and they didn't come from money. And as a child, they were living paycheck to paycheck, and as an adult, they're living paycheck to paycheck. And that doesn't come down to poor economic choices like a lot of people think. If you're born into poverty, it is incredibly difficult to scratch your way out of it. Ask me how I know that. So, the other aspect, here you go, your fourth and final aspect. How do you solve our terrible education system, dude? Tell us the answer. We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know, right? Cool your jets. I'm telling you, man. Just open your ears and listen, right? Universal accreditation. Right now, we have so many different accreditation boards. It is crazy. This is the main reason that I say we need a federal regulatory board for the Department of Education, is because we need that federal board to administer the accreditation. We need to get away from third party accreditations. You and I could both go open a company right now and start providing accreditation to any school that we want. It's based on our reputation as a company, how that accreditation is viewed by the populace. So we need a federal regulatory board, a standardized set of accreditation principles across the board. If it is standardized, that would mean that I could go to a college on the West Coast and then transfer to a college on the East Coast. And what's going to happen? My credit is going to transfer. The same exact algebra class that I took in, I don't know, Seattle is going to transfer to the college that I'm going to for algebra in New Jersey, right? That's not the way it works right now. If it is not accredited by the same accreditation board, credits don't transfer. On top of not being the same accreditation board, you can have within the same accreditation system, you can have it set up to where you go to a community college in your local town, and there's not enough industry there, and you need to move to the next town over because there is more industry. So that way you can work and provide for yourself and your family while you're attending college, right? This is very common. Most people have to do this. So you make that move. You're in the same state, you're in the same accreditation organization for both colleges, yet that college credit does not transfer. Why? Money. It's all about money. At the end of the day, they make money. It if the college exceeds the amount of money that it was supposed to make, what is that? You have extra cash that you can use for all kinds of things. But staff bonuses are another thing that you could use with that excess money. So, we need a federal regulatory board. We need that regulatory board to provide universal accreditation. Sorry, I can't speak today. Deal with it. We need to remove general education and instead provide a much more hyper specific, tailored course for each program to streamline the process and lower the cost and the amount of time investment. And we need the entire organization to be not for profit. By doing these, I assure you, the vast majority of problems will be resolved. So you're going to have lower cost per credit unit. You're going to have lower credit units per degree. So that's going to reduce total cost, which will also reduce student loan debt. We have a massive problem that we're hearing about right now about student loan debt repayment. We have people that have been delinquent for 5 years. That's crazy, people. I've had student loan debt. I paid it back. I took out another student loan recently, and I'm in the process of paying it back. The taxpayers don't pay it, just so you know. A loan is a loan. It doesn't matter what it's for. You're loaning me the money. That means you're temporarily giving me money with the expectation of me repaying interest so you get something out of it, right? Why else would you loan me money? So you're lowering the total amount of student loan debt. That's going to ease the burden on graduates. So you have people that aren't going to school anymore for useless degrees. They're going to be more employable. They're going to provide something to society. A person in gender studies is not providing anything to study to society. Sorry if you studied that. That's on you. You wasted your time. Don't come at me. Also, it's going to, because the cost is lower, the debt is lower, the amount of money you can make stays the same. So the profit to debt ratio kind of changes, right? It skews. Instead of owing too much debt to not enough money, you are going to owe not that much debt to make a decent amount of money. So you're going to have more graduate and undergraduate professionals entering the marketplace. That's only going to help drive our industry. That is how we drive our job market and boost it. So by doing that, you're encouraging more people to actually go to college, go to school, go get a degree, get an education. Because right now, I can tell you, hey, I've worked in the trades. I've also gone to school. I make so much money working in the trades. It is hard for me to justify going to school. Why do I want to go to school then if you make so much money? Because the work is less labor intensive. It's easier on my body. I'm getting older, people. So I want a nice, cushy job, right? And, I haven't stuck with a single company for 20, 30 years. I'm not a foreman. So, it provides a lot of advantages, it really does. I understand people talk smack about school all the time. I talk trash on school, I talk trash on students, and I am one. Um, but, it's the flaw with the system. If we correct the system, we implement these very easy strategies. We're going to make it easier and more streamlined. You can get people with an undergrad degree in 3 years instead of 4 years and graduating with less debt. You can get people with a postgraduate degree when in less time and less debt. So you're going to have people in these very hard to fill markets flooding our markets more. That's a good thing because right now we have to outsource a lot of our professional careers. We we import, you know, in the tech industry, we import from India all the time. We import doctors from, places like, Israel, and I'm not getting into that. Don't type it in my comments. I don't care about Israel. It's just a thing. There's a lot of doctors from there. Iran too. There's a lot of Iranian doctors. These these people, they become professionals in their own country, and then we import them. We import the best of the best from their countries, right? Why are we not growing them here at home? That only helps bolster our own, uh, job market. It's phenomenal. So instead of student loan forgiveness, instead of you know, trying to give more student grants and scholarships. We need to be taking that money and putting it into a regulatory board that can make it a nice, fair, even system across the board. So we don't need to give money to the poorest people or the most minority or what have you. No special interest. Everyone across the board needs to be treated equally. And we need to make the barrier to entry easier. Because at the end of the day, why would you make education a business when it's something that our society is dependent upon? So, giving money to people, that's never the solution. Using the money that you're giving to people by taking it away from people and reinvesting that money into creating a better system to create more opportunity for people. Got a winning solution on your hands. All right. Well, just about does it for this video. So, see y'all later.